Welcome to American Salon Magazine and AmericanSalon.com's on-demand video series. Today, we are pleased to present the first of 6 programs on the timely topic of digital and social media best practices for salons and professionals. I'm Gordon Miller, Senior Director of Digital for American Salon, and I will be your moderator today. Part 1 of our series, A Guide to Navigating the Online Landscape, is inspired by American Salon's new print and online supplement, Doing Business in a Digital World. Both our supplement and today's program are sponsored by L'Oreal Professionals, Redken, Matrix, Essie, Mazzani, and their digital partner, StyleSeat. With us today is a panel of 3 industry experts who I'd call some of the leading digital and social media evangelists we know today. Our first panelist is Gerard Scarpesi. Gerard is co-founder, along with Randy Taylor, of the global online community hairbrained.me, a favorite digital destination for hairdresser artists, educators, and thought leaders. Gerard is also one of the most respected educators that we know in the industry today. Next up on our panel is Nina Kovner, the founder of Passion Squared. Nina and Passion Squared empower small businesses and professionals, providing coaching in online and offline marketing, strategy, brand, and personal development. Nina is also a thought leader in the social and digital space for the professional beauty industry. Our third panelist is Rodney Cutler, an iconic name in beauty. He owns 3 salons in New York City, is a celebrity stylist and frequent guest on The Rachel Ray Show, and he's a top educator for Redken and a major player in the New York Fashion Week scene. In today's program, we will discuss the importance of your online audience, the role content plays in engaging that audience, and lastly, we'll share a case study in creating success using online tools and platforms, and the Cutler Salon as our role model example. Gerard, we'll let you get things started by asking you to share your thoughts on the foundation of building online success, that all-important audience. Gerard, we'll hand it off to you.
Thanks, Gordon, and thanks to American Salon for having me here today. Building and keeping the right audience is obviously incredibly important, because if you have a lot of online and social media efforts and nobody's seeing them or hearing them or responding to them in a positive way, then it's kind of a waste of your energy. So obviously it's a great place to start the discussion. And it's something that we basically have a lot of expertise on at Hairbrained, because we've spent since 2009 trying to build an audience that is what we like to call craft hairdressers and people that are focused on what we're trying to share. So I'm going to share some of those lessons with you today. I think the first thing that I would say is to keep it real. I know that that's a generic statement, but it means, think of it as a real relationship with your audience. These are actual people that are out there, and you don't want to be just overly kind of selling to them. You want to keep it authentic and keep it real. So the best place to start is with your actual friends in real life. If you're a salon owner or a hairdresser or someone trying to build their brand in some way, first reach out and connect to your actual real friends, peers, and clients, and start to get them engaged with content that's going to have value for them. And then the trick, that a lot of people kind of miss here is once they start to connect and respond, then, look at their friends, look at your friends' friends and your peers' peers and your clients' friends. That's how you begin to extend your network. So you make these connections and you go from there. It helps to focus on something specific. I mean, your content can't deliver value to everyone. Obviously, at Hairbrained, we focus on what we call craft hairdressers. We've kind of created our own niche of people that are super passionate about the craft, the tools, how they practice it, above and beyond the average hairdresser. And what we try to do is create content that has value to them in terms of, photos, discussions, blogs, and of course, for us, a lot of that is user-generated content. I'm sure Nina will get into this in her section, but it's about taking, content that they've created, content that we've created, making sure it's got value to that specific niche audience, and helping share it. And again, the magic here is if you've made the connections, it'll keep growing on its own. Become a resource for your audience. So, we realized that pretty early on that, number one, the content should inspire those that that are following you. And that can happen in a lot of ways. It can be, a motivational thought. It can be work. For us, we focus on the work more than the motivational thoughts. But it's also information. It's amazing, and it's an information age, how hairdressers still aren't necessarily that connected to what's going on. And we found that through social media, we're able to get information out about shows and events. And the great thing about it is it's in real time. So we can get information out to people, not months ahead, but, literally days ahead or the day of. And, another huge thing for us, the biggest thing for us is opportunity. What we do at Hairbrained is we take the content that our members and our audience has created, and then we recirculate it, which helps to grow their following. So if you somehow can help someone grow their own social media presence, they'll be a very attentive audience. And you can do that by resharing and rebroadcasting, essentially whatever they've shared. Engage and reciprocate. And I think this is where most people fall down. And I see it all the time. We basically spend more time liking, commenting, and following our audience than we do creating content or putting it out there. It's just as important, if not more important, to engage with them. This is what social media means. It's not a one-way street, it's a two-way street. And the more time you can spend liking, commenting, and following your audience, the more dedicated they'll be to you. That definitely is kind of a secret that people seem to have missed. So if you're really trying to build that audience, don't just focus on content. Of course, content is king, but engaging and reciprocating is definitely right up there next to king. Don't exploit your audience with constant marketing or you'll lose their attention. We try to follow the 19 pieces of content for every one piece of marketing. Again, they don't call it social marketing, they call it social media, and I think, sometimes it's obvious that it's just being exploited as a free channel to advertise, and it's very important to not do that, because once you lose their attention, you can't get it back. So, focus on great content, and people will then allow you the permission, as long as you're transparent and you do it sparingly, you'll find you have great results. When we have live events or one of our partners has something that they want us to share with our community, as long as we're not hitting them over the head constantly with it, we get great results. And the same thing can work even on the salon level. If you're sharing photos of your staff, the work that they do, and then, every once in a while, maybe I like to say 1 out of every 20 posts that you do can be something promotional. Last but not least here is definitely something that we feel strongly about. We don't tolerate negativity, spam, or trolling. So, you'll find this a lot on different social media feeds. There are definitely people out there that are negative. And, whatever you put up, there'll be a negative comment, there'll be spam trying to promote something other than what's relevant, and trolling just looking for trouble and trying to, strike it up. Back in 2009, when this was all brand new, we just decided, what, Hairbrained doesn't tolerate that. It doesn't mean we don't tolerate criticism and constructive discussion, but you can tell the difference when someone's just spamming and being negative and, being profane. Our policy is to delete it and get rid of it. And we state that everywhere that we can in our descriptions and in our bios, and then we enforce it. We're not afraid to enforce it. And I can tell you, I've had this conversation with a lot of people. They're afraid. We've been doing this since 2009, and I wholeheartedly believe it's had nothing but a positive impact on our audience and community, and has fostered the majority of comments are positive. So I think it's really worked for us, and I'm sure it can work for you as well. So those are my key points on how to kind of, build and keep an audience that matters for your brand, and I really sincerely hope that it helps you. I think being able to build the right audience is the key, and then going into delivering incredible content, which I know Nina is going to talk about next, will really set you above and beyond wherever you even hoped you'd be.
Thank you, Gerard. This is Gordon. A couple of quick questions. The first one that comes to mind is that building and engaging the right audience obviously takes time. What would you say to those who may be a little frustrated with the slow grow nature of their efforts? Because for the most part, it is a slow grow effort.
I think that's a great question, and it does take time. I try to always tell people, if it's a valid relationship, just like a valid or authentic relationship in the real world, it takes time. But, you can have a million phony relationships and they have no value. I'd rather have 1,000 deep, authentic relationships, and then you have a real tribe. So stick to it. You'll notice when you start to get to that 1,000, if you followed and you've built authentic relationships, you can notice an impact on your business. So yes, it does take time, but I guarantee that it's worth it. And, the only growth hack that I can share here is make sure that you are if you're following 30 people and you're not Michael Jordan, chances are 1 million people aren't going to be following you back. So you have to exploit that. You have to be following and engaging with as many people as possible, and you'll see that number move more quickly.
And Gerard, on the subject of content, we'll step into Nina's area a tiny bit. Hairbrained is an amazing resource for photographic and video images from throughout the industry. For many, it's a resource for social content. From the Hairbrained perspective, are there any rules you'd like to share in terms of expectations of those who want to share Hairbrained found content on their social and digital pages?
We just always ask that anytime you share anyone's content, you should definitely, link back to them, mention them, hashtag them. I think as a company, Hairbrained as a company that shares hundreds of user-generated content pieces every week, I've found as long as you give credit to the source, people are very grateful. They actually thank us because it helps build. So, if you take it and don't give credit, so if you take something from Hairbrained, obviously the most important thing is that you credit the person who did the work, and then somewhere along the line you can, hashtag or thank Hairbrained for having, made that work available to you. And again, that's about being transparent, and it makes a difference. That's when you start to build a community, and you're not just someone who's taking. You're taking and giving and helping each other.
And lastly, Gerard, tell our viewers where they can find Hairbrained online, socially, and digitally.
Yeah, you can find Hairbrained. Our community home is hairbrained.me, www.hairbrained.me, and we've got about 30,000 registered members who are contributing there every day. We've got the most active kind of online community for hairdressers in the world. And that's the home, and that's where we curate the majority of our content. But then, of course, we're on Facebook as Hairbrained, and we're on Instagram as Hairbrained Official, and we're on Twitter as Hairbrained, and we're on Pinterest as Hairbrained. We try to be everywhere that we can be because we want to take that content from our community and get it out in front of as many people as possible. So we'd love to have you following us, and we'll try to follow you back and share your content as well.
Thank you, Gerard. Great insights, and thank you for all that you guys are doing over at Hairbrained. Next up, we have Passion Squared's Nina Kovner, who's going to talk to us about creating and sharing great content online. Nina.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gordon, and American Salon. This is really cool and a topic I am so incredibly passionate about. And Gerard, I love everything you said. It really is so much about target audience and really understanding what they value. So that's what I'm going to be sharing today. I talk a lot about your content is your marketing, and it seems like content is one of the biggest challenges for salons and stylists, and a question I get probably once or twice a day. I don't know what to post, I don't know what to do, tends to be a very common question. So usually where I start, here's a great quote. I want to make sure I read this quote. Our job is to connect people, to interact with them in a way that leaves them better than we found them, more able to get where they'd like to go. And that's the awesome Seth Godin. So when we're thinking about a content strategy or a content plan, usually my clients get really frustrated because when they're like, what do I post? And my answer is usually, I don't know. That's usually not the answer they're looking for when they're coming to a coach. But what to post, there's so many steps before answering that question, and it really, really begins with understanding your own brand and understanding what your brand story is and what stories your target audience wants to be told. And that's where it becomes, it gets a little bit more difficult. Because if we don't understand that, then we're kind of spinning in lost. So our content needs to tell a story consistent with our brand and consistent with the story that our clients, our target audience, want to be told. So it needs to be compelling and relevant to the audience, to the clients and the community, very much like Gerard shared with us. Our stories must be consistent with our brand why, our brand promise, our brand purpose, story, and image. So a good example of that would be Passion Squared, my company, and I'm in the empowerment business, and I empower the people that I love. So I'm talking about inspiration and motivation and education, information as it relates to business and personal development. Then if I was going to throw up like a haircutting video, that would be so completely inconsistent with my brand promise and purpose. My promise to my community is about empowerment and is about business and personal development. It is not about hair. That's why we have hair braids. So that would be inconsistent for me to do that. So that's a very simple way of like kind of creating a checklist for yourself of, is this something I should post? Well, is it consistent with your brand why, purpose, promise, story, and image? We have to be providing quality content. Quality content has a lot to do with what your community values, and doing that in a very quality way. And then, of course, make it easy to share, because the way that we really build this word of mouth and referrals and these relationships that we're trying to build online, we want our content to be shareable and the story to be shareable. So that's a really good start, to think about what's your story and then how are you going to tell that story online. There's some incredible tools and resources that I use every single day. And that's another challenge that I get a lot. I don't know how to, I'm not a designer, I don't know how to make this content, how did you make that post? And so I love to share some of my favorite tools that I use every day, and some are used on my laptop and many are used on my phone. So Canva.com is an excellent platform to design content. I use that for my blog headers, links, images, all sorts of different graphic content. PicMonkey.com I love, because while you can use it as a design platform, it allows you to use your own branded fonts. So when you think about brand identity, which has nothing to do with this webinar, but important when speaking of content, brand identity does matter, and that means colors, fonts, stuff like that. So I love PicMonkey because it lets us use our own fonts. WordSwag is a phone app on iPhones, and I do all my daily quotes with that. It's awesome. PicStitch, another great app to do collages, befores and afters, those types of things. Wonderful. Afterlight is a great framing app. And it does a lot of other cool things, but I frame a lot of my content using Afterlight. Flipagram is fun to make little videos, and you can put your little images to music, which is fun. Great way to do some sort of promotion or after an event. PicPlay Post, I love, because that is video and static content. And so, again, using the tools, playing with the tools, and not being afraid, just diving in, like we all have. So here's some steps to creating awesome content. Get clear on that brand purpose. It starts there, and it also is where a lot of people stop. And if you're frustrated with your content that's not engaging as it should, it's probably based on the fact that you're not clear on the story that you need to be telling, that people want to be told. Learn what's important to that audience and who your target market is. The more that we understand our target market and what's of value to them, the more our content will engage, the more effective our content will be in building those relationships, in engaging, in sharing, in regramming, and ultimately word of mouth and referrals. Play with the tools. Practice, practice, practice. The thing about social and digital is that while many are still fearful of it, it's so temporary in the fact that if we screw something up, we just delete it. It's not a big deal. So it really is about having that courage to just play with the tools. They're there for us, and they can be very empowering for creative small businesses. And begin the storytelling and measure the response. I think this is a big one, really the measurement side of it, because sometimes we are kind of get on autopilot and we're like posting, and we're like, oh, this is great. I've been posting 6 times a day, or I posted for a week, and then they look and nothing happens. So I'm a big, big believer in measuring, and what I love about social platforms and digital platforms is there is a measurement tool for every single platform. And so it's simply a matter of looking at engagement. Are people engaging? It could be likes, it could be comments, it could be shares, it could be regrams, it could be hashtags, it could be app mentions. But making sure that we measure our efforts so we can then learn and say, wow, this is really working. My audience is really responding to this type of content. I'm going to do more of that type of content, as opposed to posting something that's completely dead in the water and not even realizing that there's no engagement. So measuring is key, always, always, always. Curation. So creation is our own original content, and curation is sharing other people's content. So in the case of Hairbrained, as Gerard was talking about, a great platform for curation is Hairbrained, but find websites and pages and brands that align with your brand purpose and story. And that's just simply a matter of Googling or doing hashtag searches on Instagram to really find stuff that aligns. I'm a huge curator. I probably curate way more content than I actually create, and my community really digs that and responds. Visit those sites daily, weekly, monthly. Figure out a system that's going to work for you to really curate, collect stuff that you can share that's going to be of huge value to your audience. And you can even set up Google alerts where Google will send you a notice that something's happened with a keyword or a topic, and then you can get that content actually fed to your inbox, which is a really super efficient way of doing it. And really, guys, we just want to create something people want to share. We have to think about our content is our marketing, and we have to think about what is of value to our market. That's marketing, finding out what's valuable to people and delivering that to them, right? Solving a problem, providing a solution. So that's all I got, Gordon.
Well, as always, Nina, I learn something every time I get to listen to you. A couple of quick questions that come to mind. The first one being the most common question I hear on this topic, and that is, how do I find the time to create and curate content and do it well every day?
Oh, that's my favorite question. You know. So, of course, typically I'll come back with a question. How can you not find the time? So that's my pat answer, and here's my explanation behind that. The world has changed. The world has changed forever. And one of the most empowering tools we have as creative small businesses is the social and digital web. And so what I always suggest to my clients is take a look at your current to-do list and your current activities and all the stuff that you're doing on autopilot. I promise you there are 3, 4, 5, 6 things on that list that have no value, that are not delivering results, that are irrelevant. So start there. Second is, if you knew that these platforms could actually drive a significant amount of revenue, would that be something that you'd be willing to spend time doing? Because we're only going to find time for that which we find value in. So really understanding the value of the platform and then carving out that time based on that value. But I will tell you that the people that I study, the platforms that I study, the businesses that I study, including my own, we spend an average of 2 to 3 hours a day on content, both creation and curation, as well as Gerard mentioned, engaging with community, liking, sharing, commenting, etc. And everybody that I know that is spending that amount of time is seeing insane results from that. But you got to start somewhere. So at the end of the day, it's a choice. If you're frustrated with your business and you want to try something new, give it a try. If you're not frustrated with your business and you want to try something new, give it a try. But at the end of the day, it's about choice. Where we put our energy is where we move our business. Intention is everything. And at the end of the day, it's choice. You want to jump on and build relationships and listen and be awesome, or do you want to just stick with the old? Comes back to choice.
And Nina, let me follow up on that a little bit, since I bet when many of our viewers hear that 2 to 3 hours a day comment, they likely cringe. And I always think of the old school model that we all grew up with, and that is that we know that successful salons and stylists behind the chair are great natural marketers. And they're doing their marketing from morning until night. And they're doing so in incremental bits of time, including in between clients or when they run the Starbucks. So that 2 to 3 hours a day that you mentioned, I believe you're suggesting an aggregation of time and not a single block of 3 hours. Can you discuss that a little bit, please?
Yes, thank you, Gordon. Thank you so much. Yes, that is an aggregation. So that could literally be, if you're in the salon, capturing your work, because we know that to get a good picture, we need to take 10 to 20, to sometimes people are taking 30 pictures to get the one good picture. So capturing the content and then formatting the content and then sharing the content and engaging with community, responding, replying, etc. So yes, that would be an absolute aggregation of time throughout the day. And of course, some days won't be that much time. Some days will be less time. Some days may be more time if you have a blog. Of course, like I do, I have a video show on YouTube, I have a blog, so I spend, more focused time doing that, but then I may be spending 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. I think what you said, Gordon, is key, though, that we're at Starbucks, we're here, we're there. There's always an opportunity to engage. We just have to have a passion to do it. We have to really have a passion for community, passion for relationships, and passion for listening, because those are some of the benefits that are available to us when we choose to engage online. So, yeah, it absolutely starts with, like I said, choice, passion, and then figuring out a rhythm that works for you.
And speaking of passion, please tell us where we can all find Passion Squared online, socially, and digitally. Nina.
Yay! Well, you can find my website, blog, and a lot of other cool stuff that I do online at passionsquared.net. I spend a lot of my time on Instagram at Passion Squared, at YouTube, Passion Squared TV, Twitter at Passion Squared 2, and Periscope at Passion Squared 2. And, of course, I am on Hairbreak. I am Passion Squared.
Thanks, Nina. So now for a real-world example of creating success using online tools, both in digital and social, we're going to turn things over to our final panelist, Rodney Cutler.
Hey, Gordon. Thanks for having me. Great information, Gerard and Nina. Thank you so much. I think this is a fascinating topic because a lot of us, a lot of us hairdressers and salon owners don't come from a digital background. So it's actually, it's so important. It can be a little scary. And what I want to talk about is how we actually bring that back to the salon. And for me, it's twofold. It's the running of the business and the practices that are going to help sort of streamline, making an efficient, effective business. And then also the creative side, and most of us as hairdressers, as Gerard put it, are in it for the craft and the creativity, but it also has to work from a business perspective. So and it's interesting when, as a salon owner, you start to look at, are we doing the things right? Do we need to change? Are we ready to change? And evaluating the way you're doing things now. Is your business efficient? And one of the key things I find for a healthy, successful salon is customer satisfaction, but just as important is staff satisfaction, and are we helping them build their business? We call it ownership culture at Cutler, and I've always been a big believer that if you allow people to sort of have their own business under our business, they're going to be more successful, more motivated, and it's a win-win across the board. And the key is also how we connect that back to our brand. You know, when somebody always comes to me with a new idea and it's a digital idea or something that I'm not aware of, I tend to look. The first thing I ask is to say, is this, you know, is the current way we're doing it the best practice for our business? I'll give you an example. You know, we would make 250 calls a day for confirmations for the following day. Now, is that the best use of time for one of our receptionists? Probably not. So then you look at so how do we sort of get around that? And are we ready to take that leap? You know, when we looked at booking systems, we actually went remotely with our system. A little scary, the vulnerability, but it actually opened up a whole new world. So, you know, the change, when you first ask the question, are we ready to change? Are we using the right systems? How disruptive is that going to be to our business today? You know, now, is it for a short-term loss or a long-term gain? And asking all those kind of questions. And then ultimately, is it going to allow our staff to be working on things that are going to have a bigger impact, like what Nina was saying before. So that's a really critical thing. You know, so when we did start to move to that, we've streamlined our system where we can actually have confirmation through email and text. You know, even to the point where we're doing our first-time follow-ups. What we do is we reach out to every customer who's been there for the first time, make sure it's a great service, great satisfaction, and so forth. Also, if somebody hasn't been back in 6 months, how do we reach out them? You know, Gerard was saying earlier about not bombarding, and I'm a great believer in that. You know, when I'm bombarded every day through my own email, it actually becomes irritating. So we're quite selective, and we really ultimately try to make sure it's in the best interests of the customer and so forth. With online booking, I think that's a really fascinating topic because it's a scary proposition, but we have to work there. What we do at this point is we work on requests. So our guests have the opportunity to request an appointment, and then we can help control the timing situation and start to, and we will ultimately work to that, to you know, getting to that system as well. On the creative side, I think it's really fascinating. You know, we have really tried to create a platform for our stylists to sort of build their own identity. You know, and it's key that we bring it under the Cutler umbrella, but we also have our staff working on that. So we've created a couple of great initiatives, and we've had incredible support from Hairbrained with our I Am series. We created a series of videos, and the great thing about it was that it wasn't just about myself or the leaders of the company. It was everybody who has incredible creative stories to share through their client base, and it's all about who the client is. And you know, hairdressers historically, what we tend to do is we get up there and we showcase, you know, our talents. We actually switched it. We actually turned it on the topic being on the person, and the creative decisions were based on who they are, whether they're a barista. We have a great story coming out soon about a ballerina who's cut all her hair off. And I thought the emphasis, what I think is fascinating about it, it's a unique way to storytell our talents and share our creativity, and it sort of broadens the opportunity for our staff. And I've always been a big believer, you know, the success of our salons is built on retention of great stylists and giving them a boundaryless opportunities, financially, business-wise, and creatively. And I think this whole digital space, it's all across the board now, and we have to see it from both perspectives, which is really, really critical. How do we do it financially? We're like most salons. We don't have the big budgets. We don't have huge resources. So what we've actually done, we spend a lot of energy with our creative director Dean Holcomb in creating the opportunity where we can do it in a cost-effective way, editing in-house, and I think Hairbrand does a phenomenal job with this. In that, if you look at the videos, some are shot on phones, some are big production. So there's really no excuse to go, we don't have the money or the resources. There's so much information out there to learn the skill, as long as you're willing to take the time. Like what Nina was saying about spending that energy and time, it's a huge investment, but it then becomes the visual showcase of what we do. And I think more and more, from building a clientele or building a reputation in the industry, I think it's critical that our stylists actually get out there and create that platform. So across the board, it's created a lot of excitement. It hasn't been detrimental financially, and it's only created a bigger creative platform for everybody, which I think is special. Ultimately, you know, we've won some awards. It's really, really exciting. It's created consumer awareness, and it's also created hairdressing awareness, so it's twofold. It helps build our new business from clients who may not have been to Cutler. It also helps create awareness within the industry in terms of, you know, people seeing Cutler as a career option down the path, which is really great. And then, you know, I think when you look about how we're going to, you know, back to our ownership culture, you know, we've had this phenomenal initiative with Style Seed. And what I love about Style Seed is that you have the online booking opportunity, you have the visual connection where, you know, if you look at some of the other platforms, you know, where Yelp, and you see the reviews. This way you can actually look at someone's portfolio. So we have this brand umbrella, and then future guests, hopefully of Cutler, can go in there and see some of the names, get a profile on some of our stylists and see their work. And I think one of the biggest challenges is when a customer does call up and they've never been to Cutler, they may have read about us, they want to come, they don't really know who they're getting. So yeah, sure, you ask the receptionist. This way they can actually look at the portfolios and aesthetically see who is suited. You know, and it might be a stylist, you see their range of work, it's quite edgy, or someone who's a little bit more commercial. And I think that's really an incredible tool. And also the e-commerce, which is fantastic, because I think the more we can touch our guests with the e-commerce opportunity with products and have interaction with them, it becomes you add more value to what we do as a service provider. You know, dipping in our toes into e-commerce, and it does get, you know, it's overwhelming sometimes, especially if you're not if you're not an expert like we are, you know, like I am personally. So what I do is I really just sort of reach out and try and just touch base, you know, with experts and keep it really simple, you know. So it's been, I think this is one of the initiatives for us, which is not only going to help our brand, but it's going to help our stylists build their business under our business. Cool. You know, just some concluding thoughts. You know, I think one of the things we have to really look at is that, you know, the short-term hassles for the long-term gain. And I think it's very easy as salon owners, as we do get bogged down in the daily, you know, struggles of running a business and keeping staff happy and clients happy. But you sort of have to take the time to separate, step away, and really think about, you know, is this what we're doing at the moment going to be a long time going to work? And as Nina said, you know, it's moving so fast that we have to. We don't have an option. We have to keep looking to what's working today, but also ultimately what's going to take us to the future. And I think, you know, we have to just constantly seek and research and then figure out, like, again, can we afford it? Do we have the resources to manage it on a daily basis? And then ultimately, it's going to make our business practices better and work with our core values. One of the things with our stylists that we've done, and I think the remote booking system, is having stylists own that opportunity, where a stylist can actually pre-book their guest from the chair. So what that does, it alleviates some pressure from the front desk, from people being able to answer the phone calls and tend to the guests at the front. And then also it becomes much more personal. So they can actually then look at their bookings, so they can control their schedule a little bit more and steer their guest into making the right decisions when they're coming back. So again, ownership culture, working towards the future, and I think it's sort of, again, stressful, but I think it's definitely the way to go, and it's absolutely had a huge impact on our business, and it's allowed me as an owner to focus on the things that I think I'm good at and where I should be spending my energy. So cool, I hope that was helpful.
That was exceptionally helpful, Rodney. Thank you so much. A couple of quick follow-up questions. One that immediately comes to mind: on the issue of online booking, many struggle with the idea of loss of control. It's a consistent question we hear from salon owners. How do you respond to somebody who's feeling that and trying to move from old school booking only to integrating in online booking?
No, we feel the same, and dip your toes in. We've done it in a way where we do requests. It's always thrown out there, let's do online booking. People don't want to be on the phone, they're being put on hold too much and so forth. Absolutely, but we're not quite there yet in the comfort level. So what we do is we have a request. So our guests can actually reach out and request an appointment, and then we can control where that, control that a little bit more. And then ultimately, as we get more comfortable, then we'll sort of push forward. So it doesn't need to be a Mars or bust thing. There are incremental steps that we can take, and there's times where you can really just sort of, blow the doors down and go for it.
I want to ask you about e-commerce, as I think as an industry, we often get a little bit blocked on this topic. But the world is changing. Today, consumers are looking for options, including online. But again, many in salons are afraid that offering e-commerce will only take away from in-salon sales, that it will actually cannibalize or maybe even completely take sales away from the salon. What do you say to that, Rodney?
No, I actually think it's going to increase because it creates awareness, it creates brand loyalty. If you look at our opportunity with Style Seat, is that it's twofold. So we have people who are looking at Cutler and they're looking at the products available. You have people who are looking for the products and it's being steered to ultimately back to Cutler Salon through Style Seat. And what it does, it creates a consistent ongoing dialogue. So you might have a consumer that says, hey, the weather's just changed, it's really humid, should I still be using this product? And I think that's the key, is that there's constant dialogue. And that's going to continually, and I think it's the opposite. I think the more awareness the more awareness that we can sort of bring to them, and it's only going to increase. And I know for a fact that our retail has shot through the roof since we've had the opportunity on e-commerce. And I think it's an interesting thing about, that's a whole nother webinar about, what cannibalizes and so forth. But I think the more awareness, the more education, the more conversation, the better we're going to be. And I don't shy away from that at all.
Thank you again, Rodney, for the amazing insights. As we heard from you, using the right tools matter. And Style Seat, an online marketing, booking, and now e-commerce platform, is one such tool. And they are one of our sponsors today. We now have a short video providing an overview of this powerful platform. We hope you will stay tuned for that, because we'll be back in just a moment.
Now your favorite brands have teamed up with Style Seat, the #1 destination for online and mobile booking of beauty appointments. On average, salons using Style Seat have grown their business 70% in a 15-month time period. This collaboration delivers to salons free advertising that connects the salon to more clients, free business tools such as online booking, a free personalized salon site to sell retail to clients online and fight diversion. Let's talk about how you can gain new clients. Today, clients go to curated, trusted sites where they can find the information they're looking for quickly and at any time of day. That's why every month, 1.2 million clients turn to Style Seat. You can keep your salon open 24/7 with Style Seat. 40% of salons find clients are booking online after hours.
Almost half of your clients are booking when your salon's closed. That's when they're thinking about their hair. That's when they're thinking about beauty.
StyleSeat offers free 24/7 online booking along with a set of digital tools to help salons manage their business. And the exciting new feature is for the ability for salons to sell retail online, powered by your favorite brands. In 2013, 29% of all beauty purchases were made online, which means salons need to compete in this new channel and in a digital age because your clients demand it. But building your own e-commerce website can be an expensive and time-consuming task. That's why your favorite brands are providing you your own site for free.
$500 million worth of beauty appointments have already been booked on StyleSeat.
Yeah, absolutely. We're the largest and fastest growing marketplace in beauty services.
Visit styleseat.com/salon tools to change the way you do business. Join for free today.
So that wraps up our program today, the first in our 6-part series on digital and social best practices. Thank you again to our sponsors, L'Oreal Professionals, Redken, Matrix, Essie, Mazzani, and their digital partner StyleSeat. And of course, thank you to each of our guest panelists, Gerard Scarpesi, Nina Kovner, and Rodney Cutler. As a reminder, be sure to get the latest industry news, education, amazing stories, and more direct in your inbox every day by signing up at AmericanSalon.com for our daily Beauty Fix e-newsletter. And be sure to watch our next on-demand video program, Falling in Love with Online Reviews, available at AmericanSalon.com after July 27th. On behalf of American Salon Magazine and AmericanSalon.com, I'm Gordon Miller. We look forward to sharing more great stories and education with you in print and online, 24/7, 365 days a year. Bye for now.